I am so excited to join the Earth Day 2022 virtual stage. I'm Delilah Harvey. I am a digital creator who creates content predominantly around themes of sustainability and human connection. And I'm here with the incredible Melissa Hobley, who is the CMO of OkCupid. I'll hand it over to you, Melissa, just to introduce yourself before we launch into some fun questions.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Delilah. It's awesome to be here with you. I'm the CMO at OkCupid. We're one of the biggest dating apps in the world. And part of my job is helping spearhead initiatives and partnerships, and sustainability and climate change has become so important to daters around the world, which is why we're chatting today. So thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, thank you for that intro, and I'll launch in with my first question. So firstly, can you tell me a little bit more about why OkCupid has taken a stance on climate change, and what does this have to do with dating? I also saw something that I love is that OkCupid recently released the climate change advocate badge and filter. So I would love if you could tell me a little bit more about all of that. I know that was a lot, but I want to hear all of it.
I'm with you. I got you. You're great. You're great. This will be fun. So yes, if you're watching this and you're single, or if you've ever been on a dating app, you may have felt like, oh, it feels a little bit shallow, or I wish I knew something more about that person. And we agree. We totally agree. And by the way, OkCupid's been around a long time. So we've had a lot of time to learn, how do people connect and how do they get together, and what are the good starting points for a relationship if you're looking for something serious and longer term. And by the way, we are passionate about inclusivity. And so OkCupid is for everyone, whether you are young or old or non-binary or atheist or orthodox or ethically non-monogamous, or you hate dogs or you love dogs. We say we are radically exclusively inclusive. So I just want to make sure we address that. And one of the things that we started seeing happening where people were talking about on their OkCupid profile, they were taking the time to say, more than I'm an Aries and I live downtown and I like music sometimes. Like, that doesn't tell me a whole lot about you. They were saying things like, I am passionate about sustainability. I am passionate about the environment. Please swipe left if you are not. We leaned into that and we created a filter on climate change, meaning you could filter out people that didn't believe that climate change was real. And that was really successful. We then leaned into that in a bigger way. And last year we created a climate change advocate badge, which is a little bit like a bumper sticker for your dating app profile. And that's kind of important because so many people, if you're like me, you live in New York City, I don't have a car that I'm driving around where you might put an actual bumper sticker, right? Our dating apps become places where you can signal what you care about and what matters to you, right? And if you believe in climate change or you're passionate about it, you definitely are not going to be compatible with someone that doesn't believe that it's real, or perhaps is not engaged or doing anything about what's happening to the planet that we love. And so we turned on the climate change advocate badge last year. We just turned it on. We brought it back last week. We've just turned it back on. Almost 500,000 people have already added this to their profile. And why that's great.
Oh my God.
Isn't that interesting? Why that's also amazing is because we donated $1 for every person that added the badge to Earth Day Initiative, an amazing nonprofit and partner. We capped that and we hit that cap at $20,000 within an hour. So I think we have to donate more money to Earth Day Initiative. But I think what I guess the most important point is one of the biggest deal breakers in the world is climate change and advocacy around this issue. And that's so wonderful because people are taking the time to talk about it on their dating app and say, I care about this. Yes, I'm going to turn this filter on. I'm going to be really open about this as something that is meaningful to me in my life. And second, that people are connecting on this, and the research and the data will show that that's a really good common interest to have. If you are looking for something serious, it's a really good starting point.
Totally. And wow, that's incredible. And I think as someone who has been on dating apps before, it feels sometimes like it's kind of exhausting, or you just feel even more disconnected to the idea of having something that initially, like, you just know you're connecting with someone on just a fundamental value that you have. I feel like makes the whole dating app process exciting versus kind of leading to that burnout feeling. But I'm really shocked, but happy, but shocked to hear that climate change is the #1 deal breaker these days.
The #1 deal breaker. And I think, what we want to do as a really big dating app with millions of folks around the world is also use it, frankly, as an excuse to get people to talk about it and to get people to be aware. And maybe someone sees on your profile or someone else's profile, something about sustainability or something about climate change, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, maybe I will pay a little bit more attention. Or that person looks so interesting, but they said, don't message me if you don't give a shit about, about the earth. Then maybe I'm gonna pay a little bit more attention, or be a little more intentional about my behavior around sustainability. And so, we think it's an opportunity and a responsibility to make it hot, pun intended, to engage and talk about this. That's right. The only way we're going to achieve some kind of steps towards protecting climate moving forward. Right. So
that's amazing. I mean, you're so right. I think sometimes really it's just about planting that seedling in some people's mind. So even if they're not, fully having that bumper sticker on their car yet, at least now it's sort of like the engine's moving a little bit. They're starting to be like, okay, well, there's really cool people out here who look like catches, who care about this. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I want to read a little bit about it. And then
right.
Oh, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And doesn't it say so much more about someone if they say on their app, I took really big steps to maybe something huge, to get more plastic out of my life, and I'm riding my bike more. Doesn't that say a lot more about someone than this is what I watched lately on Netflix? Okay, that's interesting, but it's probably the same stuff that everybody else is watching. And so I don't, it's a really good place to start. And it's a great thing to connect on. I saw a phrase on OkCupid. You can tell me if this is a real thing. So there's this phrase, canna curious, about people that are cannabis curious, or maybe they're new to gummies or whatever. And I saw a phrase on an OkCupid profile this morning that said climate curious. And I think it was something I'd really like to understand more about what I can do, and even small steps that I can take to take a little bit more action on this. Is that phrase out there? Is that a new phrase?
To tell you the truth, I haven't heard of it, but I completely believe I've heard the blank curious in multiple other things. I also didn't hear about the cannabis curious either, but I believe that probably both of those, there are people that fall within that. But that's very interesting. I can totally see the people who are kind of in that space. Maybe they've heard a little bit in school, or maybe they have friends who are talking about it, but they don't really know a lot yet. So that's super interesting. Yeah.
Well, wow. And by the way, Delilah, I'm going to say, even if you're, maybe you are new to this conversation, maybe you are to this movement, if you have the climate change advocate badge on your OkCupid profile, you are more likely to meet someone and build a connection. You will get almost 40% more likes with a climate change advocate badge, and 11% more matches, which is
interesting.
It's actually very hard to get that on any dating app. And so, I think that's it's a pretty good reason to add that badge.
Totally. It's probably also if people are aligning themselves with that, it's probably leads into good date ideas too. It's oh, do you want to, go on a little beach cleanup, or do you want to go to the farmer's market, things like that? It's that would be lead to cool activities as well.
Yes.
So that actually takes me to my next question, sort of, is there any one group of daters that's driving this trend that you've seen kind of falling into with the other data that you just mentioned?
Yeah, definitely. So we see that climate change matters to daters on OkCupid of all ages, but it matters the most to millennials, which
Mm,
is awesome and very encouraging. And so that's a great data point. We also see that it matters a little bit more to women. Women were 7% more likely to have climate change as the number one deal breaker. So it's great that we've seen so many people lean in and want to talk about this issue on their profile, but you'll see it more with millennials than any other age group. Which, by the way, if you're single, you and you care about this, you should get on OkCupid, because I think you're more likely to find someone else
totally.
that does. So
And do you see this deal breaker going anywhere anytime soon?
that's a great question, and absolutely not. I think it's going to keep increasing. In fact, here's a great data point. There was a 368% increase in people talking about climate change and the environment on their profiles, meaning like they hand wrote it in. So it's even separate from our filter. And that's in 5 years, which is astronomical. So it shows that how much this issue matters to people, and that it isn't going anywhere. And talking about this on your dating app, even if that's not OkCupid, could open someone else's mind to leaning in a little bit more.
Totally. And if you think about it in that way, it's just like another space to also create community around something that affects everyone and that so many of us care about. So
that's a beautiful, I really love how you phrase that, Delilah, creating community about an issue we care about. I really love that. I think that's really true. And also, dating is hard when there is an issue like this that you both care about. It creates a different tone in the room. It creates a little more intention and mindfulness. People slow down a little bit more. And so, it's a great place to start. So.
Well, this all sounds so amazing. I just have one last question. So how can I get on OkCupid and get the climate change advocacy badge? Because I really want to know.
That's so great. Well, OkCupid is free, so you can download us in the App Store, and we will pop up with a climate change badge question when you download that app. And if anybody has any issues, or I can help anybody that cares about this issue, we care about even more at OkCupid. So you can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram, or melissa@okcupid.com. And I'll even upgrade folks and give you our premium version on me for a few months to try it out. Again, anybody that's engaged in this issue should find all the love or hookups, if that's what you want, that they need. And we want to be the official supporter of climate change activists. So
I love that.
Thank you so much for having this conversation. And Delilah, I want to hear about your eco-friendly dates.
I was going to say, I'm excited, be it mine or others, to hear of some love stories that have come out of the climate change connection over the next few months, years with OkCupid. I'm excited to hear some of those stories, so they know they'll happen, and I'm here for it, and I can't wait.
I want to hear about it. Well, thank
Melissa,
you so much.
Thank you. So great speaking with you, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.